Hi, I'm Dr. Jason J. Campbell, and I want to thank you for taking the time to watch my videos. I'm continuing my lecture series into Nietzsche's discussion into the will to power, and this is the Walter Kaufmann translation. We're in section 10 of 10.2 specifically of the analysis, and in this bit, in this section, we're going to look at the idea of the counterfeiting aspects of morality. The way in which morality as traditionally used and traditionally utilized counterfeits reality, counterfeits really the intent behind the moral action. In order for us to understand where this is eventually going, and a lot of this discourse is just a very gradual, almost painstaking methodological conceptual analysis of very minute details, it's important to sometimes step outside and look at the big picture. The big picture is a will toward power. How does that manifest? What does it mean? What epistemological understanding does a will to power have? What ethical understanding does a will to power have? What biological understanding does a will to power have? And Nietzsche is painstakingly going through the process of attempting to describe this. Now, my reflection of Nietzsche's discourse is as painstaking. It is equally as conceptually dense because so many small, nuanced bits of information could be overlooked or misrepresented in a form of equivocation, where you just wouldn't really understand the genuine complexity of what he's doing here. So this section is for me, very, very important because it speaks to the way in which morality is counterfeited and the process in which it is presented as such and it actually isn't. So the way in which we make sense of the counterfeiting aspects, characteristics of morality will be important to us having a better conceptual understanding of the ethical critique that definitely serves to buttress much of what Nietzsche is doing. This is not simply some attack on just religious beliefs, an attack on Christianity wholesale, as much as it is a deeper understanding of the ethical nature and the problems conceptually that inhere in a lot of what moralists are doing. So, this is Nietzsche's Will to Power. And this is section 10.2. Okay, and we're going to be doing notes 337 through 350. Okay. So the counterfeiting aspect of morality. What is this counterfeiting aspect of morality? Okay, Nietzsche says in note 338, quote, "What is the counterfeiting aspect of morality?" Exactly what I just asked. It, morality, pretends to know. Emphasis in know, and emphasis in the original, right? It pretends to know something, namely, what good is, what evil is, right? It pretends to know. So this counterfeiting aspect rests in the DGE. Rests in the knowledge of what? Good, in quotes, and evil. Right? It pretends to know, the it refers to morality. Morality pretends to know what's good and evil, what's right and wrong, what's moral and immoral, what's good and bad. Right? It pretends to know. What is the counterfeiting aspect of morality? Question. It pretends to know something, namely, what good and evil is. Now, if you cross-reference this note, note 338, with note 235, which I've obviously done much earlier in the series. Here's another quote. Quote, "A man is seldom characterized by a single action, a rage, a reach, a knife thrust. What if personality is in that? What if personality is in the murderer who picks up the knife and reaches and grabs it and kills someone? What if personality is in that? It's an act. Morality pretends to know that the act is evil. It pretends to know that. And what it does is it creates a discourse in which it legitimizes, it creates a discourse in which it legitimizes the immorality of that act. Now, what's so genius to bring Toni Morrison up yet again of the relationship between our idea of morality is to have a genius author challenge that conception. She recognized that a lot of our conception, and she demonstrated and proved that a lot of our conception of morality is contingent on social construction and social bias, which is completely freaking whimsical, right? Social construction is at the whim of social constructors, individuals who are in positions in society to dictate what society is, and it is what they say it is, right? It's a role that very few people get to fulfill, but the individuals that are the true orchestrators of society, they're in ethical positions, right? You're in ethical positions. You dictate, no matter how ludicrous the idea, what is right and what is wrong, what should happen and what shouldn't happen. Fashion, perfectly mundane, perfectly stupid, perfectly nonsensical example. You can't wear white after Labor Day. What the hell is that about? I don't know that that's true, but I think I've heard something like that. Like you're not supposed to wear, maybe it's not, you're not supposed to wear white shoes, or maybe you're not supposed to wear white at all. But I've heard somewhere in my life at some point in time that you're not supposed to wear white after Labor Day. What the hell does that have to do with anything? You shouldn't. You're not supposed to. So that you could potentially be condemned for violating this social action. Right? Rather mundane example, but you get the idea, right? So, a rage, a reach, a knife thrust. What of personality is in that? So I've given you two pictures just to start a little slow. I'm not going to go too slow because we're way into the lecture series now. So if you're here watching, you're hardcore, right? And only the hardcore are going to get to this point. Assuming that you've gotten to this point by diligently working through the other 100+ videos that preceded this video, 200+ videos that preceded this point. If you just happen to stumble on this point, then, you know, you might need a little bit of this. The idea is, however, that and this is false, I want to make sure that it's clear, right, this is false, F-A-L, I can't spell today, my brain, and this is true. We have a moral law in both cases. The moral law is going to tell you what you ought to do. Right? So this is false. And this is true. I should put true in quotes, but we'll just say true. Actually, I will put true in quotes. It's better. Okay, so the moral agent here believes that we are describing. We're giving you a descriptive account of what is good and what is evil. Nietzsche says this is false. Ethicists can't give you, ethics isn't equipped to give you descriptive accounts. Ethics is only equipped to give you prescriptive accounts, right? So Nietzsche says, obviously, E-V-I-L. Nietzsche says, obviously, that this is a wrong